Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Dr. Gladys McGarey, who's here to share with us her new book, The Well-Lived Life, a 102-year-old doctor's 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. Dr. Gladys McGarey is a 102-year-old still consulting doctor. Recognized as a pioneer in the holistic medical movement, she is also a founding diplomat of the American Board of Holistic Medicine. She is the co-founder and past president of the American Holistic Medical Association, as well as the co-founder of the Academy of Parapsychology and Medicine, and the founder of the International Academy of Clinical Hypnosis. Dr. Gladys lives and works in Scottsdale, Arizona, where for many years she has shared a medical practice with her daughter. So welcome to the show, Dr. Gladys McGarey.
Thank you.
What a great honor it is to have you here and to talk about the well-lived life. Why was now the right time for you to write this book?
Well, I've lived a long time, and I've been kind of thinking about things a long time. And as I have thought about so much, there's so much fear and hate in the world that I thought, that I don't feel that way. I don't feel that the world is scary or that I hate people or anything like that. So maybe I better tell people what I think too. I've written books before, but they've all been medical books. And this one was something that was coming from deep inside myself, where I felt the life force was there to help other people as they struggle through the hard times and good times in their lives.
Well, and I think it's from a perspective coming from someone that's lived such a long time to be able to look back on the good and bad times, because it seems that that's kind of, it's like the ocean. We have high tide and low tide. It happens.
And there is a full moon and a new moon, I mean, life has its dualities. And so as we can adjust to those and actually live through them, not just get over them and stuff them down someplace where they pop up when you don't expect them. It's a much healthier thing to actually face up to what it is that we're doing and live through it. And it becomes richer when you can do that too.
Can you share a little bit about your life with us?
Oh, yes, I'm happy to do that. I was very fortunate to have been born into a family where my parents were both osteopathic physicians in a time when osteopathy was just entering the field of medicine. A.T. Still, the creator of the concept of osteopathy, was their teacher. And so my father graduated from the osteopathic school in 1912, and my mother in 13. And so at a time when women were not physicians, they were just really baggage. In fact, when they went to India, my mother went along on my dad's passport. In other words, she was like his extra baggage or something. But it was a time when women were supposed to be in the kitchen and taking care of things at home, and the men out doing the work that was important. But my parents stepped into that arena and took their place, which was as medical missionaries in India. And the mission work took them out into the jungles of North India, which delighted me no end, because my first 6 years of life I thought was absolute paradise. we lived in tents out in the jungle, and I got to know the Indian language before I spoke English, and got to play with the little, it was great, so that's how I got started. And and at the age of 2, knew that I was not that I was going to be a doctor, but that I was one. Enough so that my dolls were always having to be taken care of, and my sister wouldn't let me play with hers because her dolls were healthy. Mine were always having to be taken care of. It was that kind of a thing. So my start in life was really nice. But then when I started school, everything dropped off. I found out that I couldn't read. I absolutely couldn't. The letters on the page jumped all over the page. And we didn't know anything about dyslexia at that time. So I was the stupid one in the class. So my first part of my life was wonderful. My home life was just great. But my school life was, oh man, was that hard.
Well, it's interesting how we a lot of times will pigeon people into different holes, not really realizing their brilliance of what information they have, what information they carry with them. Because here at 2, you're healing, helping your sick dolls to get better.
Oh yeah. And it was, and I was in, that was important to me. But this dyslexia thing was a real thing that I carried until I was 93, before I actually trusted my own voice. It was, I guess you call it ambiguous loss, or that's a new word. These things that happen to us when we're in different stages of our life, and we just make ourselves get over them, but they still leave that scar, so which colors the rest of our life. And that aspect of dyslexia was a big one for me. But but yes, it's a privilege to be this age and still learning. I'm kind of in awe of life.
Well, I can easily understand why. I've learned so much from your book. And one of the things I found it interesting is when you talk about our path, like so many people struggle to find their own path. And at what point did you see it clearly for yourself?
Well, knowing that my dolls need doctoring, So I always knew this is what I came to do. So when anybody, like when I was in grade school, in the first 2 grades, and people would ask me, like, other kids would say, what are you going to be? And I'd say a doctor. And they'd say, you can't, you just have to be a nurse or a teacher. And I'd punch them out because I knew they were wrong. And then I was in real trouble. It was that kind of an inner knowing that knew that, don't insult me. I know what I'm. But anyway, it changed when I was in 3rd grade, and that was a good thing. But it didn't take care of that scar. You see, that's the thing that I think is so interesting, because until I was 93, if I wrote something, I would ask somebody to, go over it and make sure I got it correct. Or if I was doing a speech, I would refer to somebody, that kind of thing. Always not quite trusting my own voice. But when I was 93, I had a dream that told me something that changed that. So do I have time for a dream?
You have time for whatever you want.
Well, I was 93, and I woke up this morning with knowing it was a Sunday morning. And I was singing and I was laughing as I woke up. And I was kind of in the dream and not quite in the dream. So I saw what the dream was talking about. And that was that I was 9-year-old Gladys up in the jungles of the Himalayas. And I was coming out of our tent, but I was sneaking out because I didn't want my younger brother to catch me, because I knew I was going to do something that was against the rules in our family. And so I peeked around and he wasn't there. And I came out. And the thing was that in our family, we were not allowed to sing anything but hymns or bhajans on Sunday mornings. And I knew this was a Sunday morning. And in reality, it was a Sunday morning. But I knew it was a Sunday morning. And I wanted to sing anything. I had a bunch of songs in my head that I wanted to sing. And I knew I'd get into trouble if anybody heard me singing them. So nobody was around. It was early in the morning on a Sunday morning. I ran as fast as I could to the mango tree and climbed clear up to the top. And I'm up there singing in my dream. I'm watching myself sing, 9-year-old Gladys singing up in the tree. And I'm singing any old song I could think of, the Caterpillar song or whatever. And just really enjoying myself. But every so often I'd get to thinking, maybe this isn't quite right. And I would look over my right shoulder, and Jesus was up in the tree with me. And I thought, uh-oh. And I said to him, Jesus loves the little children, right? And he was laughing. He was really laughing. And he said, yes. So I went back to my singing, and I'm singing away. And then I got to thinking, did he really say it was okay? So I look back over my shoulder and I say, I'm still a little child, right? And he really is laughing. And he says, yes. So I went back to my singing, and I woke up at that point, knowing it was a Sunday morning, knowing that what I had just told myself in my dream was that if Jesus could accept your song or your voice, you'd better start using it, because you've been denying it all these years. That was a huge lesson for me.
I can easily understand why. I don't think that younger women realize that it hasn't been that long where women in general have not been able to really use their voice or have their voice count.
Oh, yeah. In my lifetime.
I think it's something that gives pause for thought. In your book, you talk about finding your juice. And we know for you at a very early age, you always knew your juice was leading you to become a doctor. So how do people find what drives them? How do they find their juice?
You need to begin to look for it. If you don't know that you have a calling, and I think each one of us does, I think we're like this huge, the earth, and the world is kind of like this huge jigsaw puzzle. And each one of us are a piece in that jigsaw puzzle. And there isn't anybody else who can fit in that piece. I've tried putting other pieces in a jigsaw puzzle. They don't fit. If they don't fit, they don't fit. And it's that kind of understanding that we ourselves are individual souls who have manifested on this earth for a reason. And that reason is something that only we in our souls know. So if we're not even looking for it, if we just think, oh man, life is tough or whatever, it stays that way. But if we can find within ourselves that spark of life, that flame of life, that song of life, whatever it is, that says to us, no, here's why you came. Here's why you're here. Look at the people around you. Look at the world around you. Look at what makes you laugh. Look at what makes you sing. What is it that lights your life up? Not what is so horrible and difficult to work through. That's going to be there. But how is it that you're here? What a joyful thing it is that you're here. You can do something about this. You can live through it.
And just like Jesus in the tree, I think a lot of people, women, can really understand that maybe they have something going on in their lives and it's okay to use their voice.
Mm-hmm. Really important. I pay attention to your dreams. The dreams have been very important in my life and in the life of my children and my patients. When I was in the active practice of medicine, I asked my patients about their dreams. I asked them to record their dreams if they were trying to come up with a decision and try to work through something. I'd ask them to check within and find out what it is that your soul is telling you. What is it that you're stuck with?
So can you share a little bit with us about your journey, just becoming the doctor that you are? I know we stopped at when you were younger and you had your dolls and you were telling people they couldn't tell you had to be a teacher or whatever. Because I understand that, because even when I was growing up, we had very limited options for what women could do.
Yeah.
How did things progress then?
Well, even when I started medical school, I was asking questions about what it was that we were being taught, because I started medical school just as World War II got started. I started in September of 41, and the war started December 7th, 1941. So all that we were taught had to do with curing diseases and getting rid of pain. I mean, that was the basic theme. And to me, it seemed like there had to be something beyond that. So I kept asking questions about that, enough so that the dean sent me to the psychiatrist 2 different times because she didn't think I was asking the right questions or something. I don't know just what. But the psychiatrist sent me back and said, no, just keep on going. And I was in Women's Medical College in Philadelphia, which was the only medical school in the country. So we started out with 50 students, and only 25 of us graduated, because the theme of that school was that you women have to be smarter and tougher and meaner and all of that than the men. So if anything seemed off in what we were doing, or if we couldn't pass the exams and so on, we were out. So it was even in that atmosphere of women physicians, we were being pushed because of the it was a basic concept that women would have to be tougher than men if we were going to survive. And it proved to be so, because after I graduated and had my degree and started my internship in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Deaconess Hospital, they'd never had a woman physician there before. And so when I was on call, I had no place to sleep. So I had the x-ray table and a pillow and a blanket, which I didn't feel was abusive, because I was just glad to have the job, or to have have the opportunity to be here to learn. So it was something that was important enough to me that, okay, so that's where I sleep, that's where I sleep. If you can see some way to look at what life's presenting to you in a way that says, this is just one of those steps along the way. You need to live through this. Well, I was able to do that because not only was I had a kind of an inconvenient bedroom, which wasn't hardly there, but the man who was in charge of the scheduling of our residents and so on, he knew three things. He knew one was that women didn't belong in medicine. Two, that I didn't belong in medicine. And I at that point was pregnant with my first child because I'd met my husband and we'd gotten married, and here I was. And he knew pregnant women didn't belong in medicine. And so he was doing everything he could to make me drop out or flunk out or do something. And I knew that was going to happen. And I was hanging on for dear life. And because he would schedule me for the toughest, longest surgeries that were available, which were usually orthopedic surgery, which would start at 7:30 in the morning and go for 5 hours. Well, I couldn't get any breakfast until 8 o'clock in the hospital because the cafeteria didn't start until then. So I'd be hanging on for dear life with this pregnancy and in this long, stretched out surgical procedure. And I just was saying to myself, no, I'm not going to drop out. I'm not going to fly. This, you're going to get through this. You're going to live through this. And this baby is going to survive this too. So I was in my own personal space and my own personal life path, working while he was working against it. I was working for it. And, in my life, there have been what I call living angels who show up and have helped me through things. All of a sudden, the schedule here at this hospital began to change for us as residents. So instead of being the first one on the blackboard, I was way down so that I could get at 8 o'clock, I could get breakfast and I could be there and I would survive, And I found, the resident kept saying to me, why are you changing the schedule? And I was saying, I'm not. I wasn't touching that blackboard. But one night at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was called off my table, X-ray table, down to see a patient. But when I got out into the hall, I saw Lucille, who was the little maid for the door for that part of our hospital floor. She had pulled a chair up to the blackboard and she was erasing my name at the top and putting another doctor's name at the top and mine down so that I would get breakfast. I mean, this was totally unheard of. She could have lost her job. I saw what she did, chalked it up to being so amazing, but didn't even remark about it because I didn't want attention called to it because she would have lost her job. I mean, it was that kind of a precarious thing that she was doing. But she literally saved my life and my son's life. And as life would have it, my eldest son, the one I was carrying at that time, is a retired orthopedic surgeon living up in Washington State, doing amazing things. But he's finished his orthopedic therapy work, and he's going on with his life. In fact, when he was ready to start his practice in Del Rio, Texas, he came through Phoenix and he said to me, Mom, I'm real scared. I'm going to go into practice with orthopedics and so on. He said, I'm going to have people's lives in my hands. I don't know if I can handle that. And I said to him, well, Carl, if you think you're the one that does the healing, you have a right to be scared. But if you understand that you have been trained in orthopedics in a way that is so important for people who need that kind of work, if there is something in my body that's broken and I need an orthopedic surgery, I want a person that knows what they're doing to do the job. And so you use the information, the training and so on that you've got to the best of your ability. And then you turn the healing part of it over to the patient's physician within them who does the true healing. Because in reality, we as physicians have the job of doing what we can do to bring the outer world life healing forces to the person here. But the person that you're working with as a patient has within them the healing process, what I call the physician within them, who now becomes your colleague. So as you work with them lovingly and deal with this whole process as a team, you have nothing to be afraid of. It's that understanding that life is shared and that it's something that we need to, it's a good thing to realize that as life and love are aspects of our true healing, then we use them as they are available to us.
Such wise information. And I love how you bring that together, that there's a physician in each of us. I think it becomes such an empowering experience for people who are going through different diseases or ailments or conditions that are happening, that they can also rely on the knowledge their body holds.
Yes, because one of our secrets is that everything is a teacher. Everything that we experience has something there that we can learn from. It's a life process, and life has to keep moving. And as it moves, if we learn, we continue to grow. If we don't learn and we stop the process of life's flow, then it doesn't. So it gets stuck. It's that important that we keep working. See, I have this kind of idea, and I don't know. I'm not saying this is anybody's theology, but I have this kind of idea that when God created the earth, he created everything that was in it, and he looked at the earth and the universe, and he thought it was really good. And he said, okay, now I've done this beautiful thing, and I now create the human being who has one thing that nothing else has, and that is free will and choice. So he then gave us, the human being, dominion over the earth. And we, in our arrogance, thought he said, I now give you domination. I let you dominate the whole earth. So we then took it upon ourselves to do anything we wanted to the whole earth, and we've gotten ourselves in a real mess. So it's that dominion, which means taking care of. In other words, we human beings have the responsibility and the actual joy of being the ones who take care. It's like a mother taking care of her children. or a father taking care of his children. It's that understanding that our job is the love and care and life force that allows us to work with this healing and amazing process of life, which is life and love, which see, I have 5 secrets, which 2 along with the others, that these 5 secrets kind of gave me a foundation to work with kind of early on. And the first 2 are life and love. Life by itself is like a seed in the pyramid, it's got all the energy of the universe within that shell, but it can't do anything until love, in the form of water and sunshine and so on, activates it, cracks its shell, and then it can begin to live. So life and love are integral aspects of each other. It's like the sperm and the ovum. The ovum would just sits there until it's activated by the sperm, and then it becomes one unit, and becomes one unit with the mother, who is the overall unit. And so it's that kind of a flow of life, of love taking care of the life force. So then the third L is laughter. Laughter without love is cruel. It's what tears families apart. It's what causes wars. It's mean. But laughter with love is joy and happiness. And the fourth L is labor. Labor without love is drudgery. Oh man, I've got to go to work. Too many diapers. It's you drag yourself through the next job and the next job. But labor with love is bliss. You do twice as much as you would, or 4 times as much as you would, if you were dragging yourself through it, because this makes you sing. It makes the singer sing. It makes the painter paint. It makes me do what I do in the field of medicine. It's that inner knowing that this is what I came for. This is my bliss. It's absolutely, it just takes everything out of perspective if we're not using it the way it's intended to be used by us as true humans. And then the 5th one is listening. Listening without love is empty sound. You can hear what your child says, but not listen to it, and then never know what your child was thinking. My son Bob, who is here with me now, when he was 4, he came into the living room and he says, "Mama, I know something." And I said, "What's that, Bobby?" He says, "If I make a friend and he makes a friend and he makes a friend, it's going to go all around the world and come back to me." Well, of course he's a psychologist. This is the kind of thing, when you're listening for the truth, or you're listening with love to something, you understand what it is all about. So those 5 L's have been kind of helpful to me, and probably helpful for other people.
Well, it sounds like your family's always been on the leading edge of change, and thank goodness for that. Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick moment. We've been speaking with Dr. Gladys McGarey in regards to her new book, A Well-Lived Life. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
With Breath Hub, you'll experience the transformative power of breath as it harmonizes your body, mind, and spirit. Recommended by experts in fitness, sports, psychology, and medicine. Meet the scientific way of being well. Breath Hub. Breathe better, live better.
The book Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, authored by Danny Carroll, is on sale at Amazon now. Licensed psychologist and psychotherapist Tessa Antia-John Guerra commented, "This is one of the most empowering books on the topic of cancer you will ever read." Award-winning author T.L. Needham commented, "This recommended book can be understood by anyone seeking answers, hope, and alternatives to a terminal diagnosis. Buy it now on Amazon.com.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with our special guest, Dr. Gladys McGarey, who's here to share with us her new book, The Well-Lived Life, a 102-year-old doctor's 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. I find it fascinating how much your family has been on the leading edge of change. Let's just talk about your mother. I mean, she was a doctor at a time when women were not allowed to be doctors. And the perseverance it took you to be a doctor, and thank goodness for Lucy changing schedules around.
Yeah.
And so as you've gone through your life, medicine has changed quite a bit. But does it need to change more? I heard your TED Talk where you mentioned that we are focused on killing, how we are focused on killing the disease or the symptoms. How should we be looking at medicine in the future?
Well, I think that we need to really accept the fact, which I believe is a fact, is that love is a true healer. And in the field of medicine, we've forgotten that. Because our focus has been on taking care of pain and healing the diseases. And as far as I can understand, is those two aspects of our lives are huge teachers for us. If there's something that my body wants me to learn, I'll probably get some kind of pain or some kind of disease process or something going on within my body that will get my attention. And if I can look at it as a teacher and learn something about who and what and it's really trying to teach me, then I'll grow. Now, the reason I'm saying this is there are people who have disease processes which they never get over. Franklin Roosevelt had post-polio syndrome. He had pain all his life. I have had this wonderful friend through 60 years of working with her, and she just died a few months ago. And she had lived all of her life since she was 18 months old with 1/4 of one kidney. That's not possible. All of us physicians who took care of her through those years would ask her how she was doing it. Well, she did what she knew her body well enough that if there was something that wasn't going to work, she wouldn't do it. But the physician within her was so strong and so clear that she respected that. And she would she considered herself a non-compliant patient because there were some things that she just couldn't do. She knew she couldn't do them, and she wouldn't. So she lived her life, had a pregnancy, and so on. Lived her life just like the rest of us were doing it, pretty much, except that she was doing it without a full kidney function. So there are people, and I have patient after patient who's been able to do this kind of thing because they begin to understand they sometimes more than begin to understand, they completely understand what it is that their body is teaching them and what they can do to support their body. Now, it's that kind of a understanding of ourselves. See, we've put everything on the outside for our understanding instead of taking it inside and trying to understand. Like what we've done when I was in medical school, and for years I felt very guilty about this, but I don't anymore because it was all we had to do. But when I was in medical school, for birthing babies, the whole purpose was to keep the mother from feeling the pain. And so we gave her what we called twilight sleep. My first two sons were born with twilight sleep, which meant that I didn't know that I had a son for 24 hours before I knew what had happened. We were out of it. But in order to then birth the baby, we had to use forceps to remove the baby, to deliver the baby. So, we became experts at doing that, and we did it. And we in our minds saved the lives of the mother and the baby. And in reality, we did. But we had created the situation where that was necessary. Through the years, I've become, you hope you grow a little bit, but I've grown to understand that it wasn't the pain of the labor that we should have been working with. It was what was going on with the mother, how she was able to work with and push that baby out. And so if we had to deliver a baby, we did it because that's what we were taught. However, I don't think, and in the process of doing that, we have taken away from us as women the power to birth our own babies. We think we have to be delivered of our babies. We talk about it. That slips into my conversation because I've been using that word for all these years. I helped deliver you. No, I didn't. I helped birth you. I helped your mother birth you. It's time we give our power back to us as the female aspect of this whole process of birthing. I kind of think probably what happened was that, as long as women were understanding the woman's birthing process, they understood the fact that we could scream and holler while we were in pain. But it bothered the men. So that's when we had to shut us up and do twilight sleep. Well, if you are trying to really eliminate pain, you have to find something else to take the whatever that was, So anyway, I think that we're reclaiming our true humanity. And I think that our feminine aspect of ourselves is something that we really need to understand in a way that a dream of mine helped me understand. I woke up one morning with the dream being a huge crash I didn't know what it was. I woke up and I was in the dream and not in the dream, and realized that I was standing in a valley in the high Himalayas. And on the right-hand side of the valley, there was a young woman just splayed out on the ground, just hardly breathing. And on the left-hand side, there was a huge man who was in the same position, just barely breathing. So in my dream, I heard the voice saying, these two forces are like fists pounding on each other, trying to kill each other. It's time they took a proper place and supported each other like fingers that are brought together in a prayer. So, and I woke up from the dream completely. And when I started thinking about it, I realized that the girl, the young woman, was on the right-hand side of the valley, which is the masculine side. And the man was on the left-hand side, which is the feminine side. So this battle of the sexes had been going on forever, getting no place, but has almost killed each other. Certainly in the birthing process, like I talked about before, we had taken away the woman's power even to birth her own baby. So now it's time to stop that business and give our power back to ourselves. The woman needs to go back to the right side, and the guy back to the left. No, wait a minute. Yeah. Yes. So that's where we are in the process, and it's a really important thing. So after the dream, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about the whole concept of manifestation. And she said to me, I think I have a new word that I think is a good word. She says it's called femifestation. Manifestation is like Jacob's ladder. You get a degree, you do the work, you buy a house, you have a child, you manifest something. And we women have been eons of time trying to manifest what the male aspect of our being is there for, to actually manifest something. The femifestation, which she's talking about, which then we began talking about, is not like Jacob's ladder. It's like a spiral. You can be on the fifth rung of the spiral and know what's going on the second rung. We women know how to do that. That's that inner aspect of ourselves. Call it the physician within you, call it what you will. But that is the juice that keeps us going too. So that's femifestation. So I think that using the word femifestation is a good thing. It's really recalling our power as women to manifest what is absolutely essential. And think about this. When we are pregnant, what happens is the sperm and the ovum activate each other. And the baby grows within the mother as one unit. The mother and that baby are what the mother eats, the baby eats. What the mother thinks, the baby thinks. That's one unit. It's a complete femifestation of life. It's at its very essence. But it doesn't really manifest until the baby, 7 months, 9 months, however long it's going to take, 10 months, the baby has femifested completely enough that it can be born and take its first breath, at which point it becomes its own unit. It becomes a separate unit. And until that baby takes that first breath, it is part of the mother, connected with the placenta, and so on. But when it takes that first breath, it manifests into its own power. It's that kind of a beautiful movement of life as we go through it. It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
I would say so. What piece of advice would you like to leave our listeners with?
Keep reaching for the light. Keep reaching for your true humanity, and understanding that in the end, or in the beginning, or in the process, love is the great healer. You can use all kinds of different modalities, but if they're not used with love, the healing isn't as great. Love is the great healer.
Well, Dr. Gladys, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today.
You're certainly welcome. You gave me free rein, didn't you?
I sure did. Sometimes I'm smart enough, I know just when to listen. Make sure to pick up your copy of Dr. Gladys McGarey's book, The Well-Lived Life. The Well-Lived Life is available everywhere books are sold. And make sure to visit Dr. Gladys McGarey's website at gladysmcgarey.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.